Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of MJ Everyday. Little bit of a different episode of MJ Everyday for you guys today. It's not specifically based on training or dieting or motivation or anything like that, but it's a question that I consistently get asked. I'm always getting asked this question, so I thought I'm gonna shoot an episode of MJ Everyday for you guys on it. Protein powder import procedure. So I'm constantly getting hit up, new protein powders or protein powder flavors drop in the US, and you guys hit us up at MassiveJoes and you want to know, where is that MTS Way ice cream sandwich? Where is that Ghost Way in the fruity milk cereal flavor? Where is that X protein in that new flavor that they just dropped in the US? How long until it gets to Australia? And our usual response is anywhere between 3 to 6 months. Now, the reason why it takes so long, and I really want you guys to understand this because it is a very long, drawn out process, which is why it takes so long to get new protein powders and then flavors of existing protein powders into Australia. The process looks like this. So a company releases a protein in a new flavor. So every single flavor of a particular protein is considered by the Australian government to be a different product. So even if we have, MTS Way in 16 different flavors and MTS release a new flavor of MTS Way, there needs to be a new permit that applies to that protein powder because the government considers that new flavor to be a new product. So company in the US drops this new protein powder or new flavor of an existing protein powder. What then has to happen is we, from our end in Australia, we have to apply for a protein import permit. Now that protein import permit involves a whole bunch of paperwork that needs to go back to the manufacturer in the US. They need to send it to their raw material supplier who actually supplies the raw whey protein, isolate whey protein concentrate, hydrolyze, whatever the ingredients are. It needs to go back right up the chain to the supply of that raw material. They need to fill out all of this extensive paperwork. That then comes back to us and goes to the Australian government as a protein powder permit application. That application takes 4 business weeks to be processed. Sometimes it's a little bit quicker, very, very rarely. Usually the Australian government, AQUIS, the quarantine inspection service over here, uses that full 4 weeks. So they'll take 4 business weeks. So that doesn't include weekends, public holidays, that extends the period out. It's 4 business weeks to process a protein powder import application. That application gets processed. Hopefully all the paperwork is as needs to be. That then gets approved. So now we have the protein import permit. You're thinking to yourself, sweet, let's start shipping product and let's get it to Australia and it's all good. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite work with that because protein powder import permits in particular are conditional permits. And the condition of those permits is that we have health certificates that apply to each and every shipment as they come into Australia. So we need to get these health certificates. Once we've got the permit, we can then place an order with this company in the US that is making this new protein powder or new flavor of protein powder. We place our order, they then have to grab whatever we've ordered, put it aside in their warehouse and apply for health certificates that apply to that specific order of product, that many number of tubs of protein powder in that particular flavor. And this has to occur for every single order that we do. So the health certificate, the protein powder import application is a once off. It needs to be done once every 2 years, but then every single order requires these health certificates to be applied for and granted as part of the condition of that protein powder import permit. I hope I'm not losing you guys. Let's keep going. So we've placed our order with this company in the US. They've put the tubs of protein powder in that particular flavor aside in their warehouse. They've sent off to the USDA, so the US government, for health certificates. Now, health certificates from the USDA take anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. The fastest I've ever seen them come is about 2 weeks. The longest I've ever seen them come, to be honest with you guys, is probably about 6 weeks. So let's go 2 to 6 weeks to get the health certificates. Once we have those health certificates, they then get sent from the USDA to the company who we've ordered from. They then FedEx them to us or whatever freight service they use. It needs to come in the mail to us. We then attach that to the protein powder import permit and then give it to our freight forwarders. At that point, we can then get that protein powder that we have ordered on a ship shipping to Australia. Now, getting a protein powder on a ship doesn't happen like that. There's you have to find slots in ships. So ships are pre-booked for, usually weeks in advance. So we need to figure out what ship we can get this order on, what ship will fit this container of this particular protein powder, get it in that slot, put it on that ship, and then the sailing time from the US to Australia is, depending on which side of the US it sails from, is 6 to 8 weeks. So you guys can do the maths here. You can kind of see where I'm coming from. So protein powder, new protein powder or new protein powder flavors released in the US. We've then got 4 business weeks to get a protein powder application. We then have between 2 to 6 weeks for getting health certificates. So we're already at 6 to 10 weeks. We then have, let's say, 1 to 2 weeks to actually get that on a ship. So we're at 7 to 12 weeks at this point in time. Best case scenario, 7 weeks. Worst case scenario, 11 weeks. And then you add the freight time on top of that, which is 6 to 8 weeks. So we're looking at 13, how's my maths? 13 to 19 weeks from when a protein powder is released in the US to when we actually get it in Australia. So this is why when you guys ask us how long until we get the new MTS Whey ice cream sandwich or the new Ghost Whey and fruity cereal milk, we're looking at 3 to 6 months. Best case scenario, we're looking at 3 months. Worst case scenario, if the permit application takes too long or the health certificates take too long or we can't get the protein container with the protein powder in a slot, in a ship and shipping to Australia, or the ship comes up against some currents and it delays its sailing time, so it goes from 6 to 8 weeks to 10 to 12 weeks to get to Australia. There's all these different variables in place that really can, best case scenario, we're talking 3 months. Worst case scenario, we're talking 6 months. Guys, that's a wrap for today's episode of MJ Everyday on the protein powder import procedure. I hope that kind of sheds some light on it for you guys and kind of gives you a bit of an insight to, more than anything, the challenges that we have to go through at MassiveJoes as an importer of protein powders into Australia. The Australian government regulations through AQUIS, our quarantine inspection service, are far and beyond what most countries require because we are such an agricultural-based economy. They want to protect our agriculture in this country and make sure that nothing comes into the country that could negatively affect that. So it is a very extensive process with the import permits, the health certificates and everything that's involved in that. But, I guess it is for the better for the national economy. But those are the challenges that we deal with. And that's why it takes so long to get newly released protein powders or protein powder flavors from the US to Australia. Guys, as always, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn your post notifications on, both on your mobile, your cell phone, and your desktop PC so you don't miss a beat when it comes to the MassiveJoes YouTube channel. Until tomorrow, I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Stay